Okay, hello, hello. Hey, Heather, painty time indeed. How you doing today? Hi, French fries. Welcome. Cameras will be up in just a second. Alrighty. How are you doing, French fries? By the way, I just want to make sure no one can hear any music correctly. I just want to make sure no one can hear the music I'm listening to right now. Shouldn't be able to, but just paranoid here. Your Heather says, I'm good. I finished my last day of school. Congratulations. That's great. When's you haven't had your show yet, have you? All right, that's pretty close, I think, to uh, yeah, that's pretty close. Alrighty. Sorry, it just takes a second sometimes. So finally back to the ABS plastic, which I'm really happy about. I still have one more panel of that canvas board. We'll see what I can how I can utilize it. But that'll probably be later. So yeah, new painting today. Uh, hopefully, I don't know if quick is the right word, but I want to get it done fast because I am going out of town next week. So yeah, I want to get this painting done in a timely fashion so I don't have it waiting for me for like a week or actually longer, I think. And I know for everyone who's been here for a while, I know I've been slacking lately on my videos as well. Um, have quite a few ideas about that as well. I'll leave it at that, and you'll see them when I get it done. But yeah, I know I'm behind on everything. I just never seem to have enough time to do anything to do everything. But I'm not stopping with the videos. It's just busy, busy, busy kind of situation. I knew that would happen partially because I was burning out, and once I stopped because I was burning out, I knew that I would just over overcompensate probably in the other direction. But yeah. Alrighty. It's a very strange thing to be wearing gloves, but get your gloves dirty and be like, oh, I need to get a paper towel to clean my gloves. And that's what they're there for, but I need to clean hands so that when I touch my mouse, I'm not getting it dirty. All right. What is YouTube warning me about here? Um, I don't know. Okay. Alrighty. Uh, one last thing I need to check if all this paint is usable or not. Ooh, awesome. Yeah, next week I am flying out of town. What is it? Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. And I won't be back for like a week. I think I come back. Can't remember, Wednesday or Thursday or something. So yeah, I'll be gone for a little bit, unfortunately, uh, as far as the stream and YouTube videos go, but I'm looking forward to it. This was over a year, like planned in advance. I bought bought my tickets literally like a year ago. Alrighty. So today I'm going to try, this is a somewhat complicated um, uh, reference, but still going to try and do it pretty quickly. We shall see how it goes. If I can, I will be a little easier on myself as far as like the, what's it called? How absolutely perfect everything needs to be. Hey, Cassandra, welcome. Just to make sure, because no one, hold on. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, now I see updates. For a while, I wasn't seeing any update. Chat wasn't updating as at all, so I didn't see anything. Okay. Heather says someone bought one of my pieces for $25. That's fantastic, Heather. That's great. Um, yeah, sorry if I wasn't responding to anything. I literally, the chat wasn't moving at all for me for some reason. I'm going to the Portrait Society of America to their conference in um, Washington, D.C. And I will be going to Maryland as well. The conference is only like 3 days or 4 days, but I'm also going to be hanging out in Maryland visiting family. And why am I crispy? Well, what did I miss there? I don't know why the chat is accusing me of being crispy. Oh, I said I was burnt out. Burnt out. Yes, I was definitely burnt out. I get it. Crispy. It makes sense. I just, like I said, I'm seeing all the chats way in delay for some reason. Now it's coming in normal, but for some reason everything was delayed for quite a bit. Yeah, I knew as soon as I like took my foot off the gas, so to speak, for a little bit, I would I would slow down a lot, but you know, I'll recover and get back to it. I've also been busy because I'm getting ready for the visit, and going out of town, all that. I also got two paintings in a local show, um, in a local gallery. It's the same location that's doing the craft fair, but they also have a gallery. And yeah, I got some paintings into that. So I've had to prepare stuff for that and so on. And then I also am dealing with some uh we'll call it, what is it, varnish issues. I sent a painting off to someone who purchased one, and the varnish caused a lot of problems. And luckily, the person I sent it to is also an artist and also very understanding. So it wasn't the worst, it didn't turn out like horribly bad, but um, really not good. So I'm really frustrated with my varnish situation, and I'm looking into um, trying to find alternatives and other things. Uh, Cassandra says, I've had varnish disasters twice. It's awful. Yeah, it really sucks. What happened was the varnish pooled on one side, and I corrected that, but I guess I corrected it by doing two layers, and I guess it still pooled, like the second layer was still under the first layer, and then when I shipped it, the um what's it called? The texture of the cardboard transferred onto the varnish, and also revealed the pooling part that kind of was, so it was like twofold of an issue. And yeah, I don't know. Um, and I use glycine paper, which, if anyone isn't familiar, glycine paper is kind of like a non-stick paper that's really, you know, so the idea is I put that on top of the painting so that, the painting won't stick to it, and it won't transfer anything from the glycine paper to the painting, and just to um, make sure nothing happens to the painting. But that doesn't cushion anything, so you have to put the cushion on top of that, which I did, but apparently it transferred the, like I said, it transferred the what's it called? The texture to it, which sucks. Um, so like I said, luckily the person is also an artist and they can deal with Gamvar, which is what I used, Gamvar gloss. But yeah, not happy about it. I still have Gamvar gloss and I'm still going to use it, and I'm just much more careful about it now. And um, it's also like I put on a lot less, but because I put on less, the effect of it is also reduced. So it's like you barely see it now when it's on there. Which isn't really like what you want. You want it to bring back the shine, to bring back the colors, and now it's practically not there. So it's like, okay, yeah, now it doesn't have any of those other problems, but still not what I want it to do. So I don't know. I'm trying to find there's some I got some recommendations, but they they each have like their own downsides. I don't know. We'll see. Once I find, if I ever find a varnish that I can truly recommend, I will recommend it wholeheartedly. I will say, if you can, I do think that what's it called? Like true varnish, not retouch varnish, which is what Gamvar is technically, is better. The problem is you have to wait, like for oil paint, you have to wait like 6 months until you can put that stuff on. So that's the main issue with it. But the true varnish also usually has UV protection, which Gamvar and most retouch varnishes don't. So, that's a plus. Cassandra says, I've had varnish disasters twice. It's awful. I think I read that already, but yeah, sorry to hear that, Cassandra. I know you use acrylics, so I can't ask you what varnish you use because it might not apply to, oils. But I know Liquitex makes a varnish that is both for oils and acrylics. However, you have to wait like 6 months for oil when using it on oils until it's considered completely dry. That might be a little too green. We'll see. Hey, hold on. Cassandra says, I think the YouTube chat is just really laggy. Is Twitch? I don't know. I can see you on Twitch now, Cassandra. Cassandra moved over to Twitch, but last thing I saw from you, Cassandra, in YouTube is, I'm sorry. Is that the last thing you tried to write to me on YouTube? Is YouTube chat just super laggy today? Is it because there's a thunderstorm happening outside? Oh wow, that is not the last thing that you wrote. You talked about varnish again. Oh wow. Okay, well, YouTube chat is super laggy. I wonder if it's just laggy for me or if it's laggy for everyone. It would be hard to know. Let's see. You'll hang out here for now in Twitch. All right. Let me see if I'm getting any warnings about my stream. Um, because that is surprising. Well, stream health says excellent. Let me refresh the page maybe. Um, ooh, no, it's still, even when I refresh the page, it hasn't come up. Wow. All right, chat. So just so everyone knows, it looks like YouTube chat for some reason super laggy today. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's, you know, I don't know where the problem lies, so it's hard for me to say. I don't think it's like specifically with me. My connection seems good. Everything seems all right. So yeah. Let's see. Where is my blue? So the new streaming software Meld, they put the option now you can stream in what's it called? Like normal or uh you can stream like portrait mode, for like TikTok or whatever. Um which is nice that they're adding options, but like it would be nicer if they added 4K instead of, you know, just left it at 1080p for regular streaming. I'd like that more personally, but yeah. So Cassandra, you said something more about having varnish issues. Do you want to talk about it, or you're done with talking about varnish? I understand both feelings on the subject, so however you feel like it. Sandra says, first time I had varnish pooling and thought it was dry. I put glycine on top of it and it got stuck. That was after a car ride and it was hot. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, it was technically dry for me at least. It didn't get stuck, but I'm shocked it got stuck because that glycine paper is, it's like baking paper or whatever. Like stuff doesn't really stick to it. So it's surprising that anything got stuck to that. Yeah, it does become a little more pliable in the heat, that is for sure. It was also humid and I was using water mixable varnish, I guess. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I waited a couple of days. Hey, Don Lee, welcome, Raiders. Don Lee's raiding with a party of 6. Welcome. Hey, Lady Anaconda. Josh, good to see you. How are you all doing? Don Lee, how are you? How was your stream today? It's taco time? Josh, good to see you. Don Lee says, hey, hey, doing good? Good. For anyone who doesn't know, Don Lee is a streamer on Twitch. He does digital art and sometimes some other fun stuff, uh, but usually digital art. A lot of fun digital art related stuff. How are you, my friend? I'm good, Donley. Thanks for asking. Yeah, just getting started a little late tonight. Not super late, but a little late. Apparently, my Heather over on my YouTube thing says, "Oops, wrong chat." LOL, sorry. Hey, no worries, Heather. My YouTube chat is super laggy today for some reason. So everyone from YouTube chat is seems to be making their way over to Twitch chat today. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, what'd you work on? Do you feel like sharing? And if you don't, if it's too much of a pain, I get it. Sometimes when you're, right after a stream, it's, not the best time to share things. So I get it. But yeah, if there's anything you want to share, Donley, you're welcome to share. I was just talking about the woes of varnish, which I ran into some varnish issues recently, and also the fact that I'm going out of town next week for like about a week. So I'll be gone next Tuesday for a week. So no streams and so on. In case anyone isn't, oh darn it, forgot to keep recording. Anyways, in case anyone isn't familiar with my painting process, everything starts off very, very messy, and then I refine it as I go. So if you're like, what the heck is he painting? Technically, I'm painting a woman standing there, but it'll be a while until it's completely clear. Maybe it is me. Everything so uh the chat just seems I don't know. It might be my end where everything's delayed. That'd be weird. Josh says, I love your process. You do some insane work. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Really beautiful stuff. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. One of the things I try and bring into my work, and it's become even more important now with all the AI stuff, is the, like the individual aspects of each piece. I try to bring that in somehow. Donley says, here's my link tree with Insta and Shop. Oh, nice. Let me grab that. I'll copy paste it over to my YouTube chat as well. And then anyone who's watching this now or later can check it out. So yeah, there's Donley's Insta and shop. You all can check them out. If you're watching this after the fact, you know it's in the chat. Donley merch is great. Josh, yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Proud owner here. Nice, very nice. I'll get some eventually. Uh, when budgets align. Or maybe, we'll talk privately and arrange something else. All right, I need my palette knife because I need to cover more ground now. Josh says gonna lurk and clean up my kitchen. Hey, no worries. Thanks for the lurk. Thanks for being here, Josh. I appreciate it. Glad to have caught the stream. Yeah, I'm glad you did too, man. It's been a while, you know. Um, Also, Josh, are you still streaming, by the way? Because I know you, I was just going to say, oh, here's Don Lee saying, also, I worked on a character design for Josh's animated series. Ah, there you go. It's just, you beat me to it, but I was just going to mention that. Thanks, Don Lee. I appreciate the link. I'll share that as well. Don Lee says it's still pretty rough, but just getting ideas together. That's cool. Animation is a long and slow process, especially when you don't have a huge team, you know, doing it. Josh says, hell yeah, not streaming, working on renovating for live stream content that brings more of the series work alive and interactive. Nice. Should be back live in August. Awesome. That's great. I started cleaning up my room so that could film more in my room. And so I started making a mess, which is part of the cleaning process for me. Um, and then I got distracted by other things that I had to deal with. Um, so now my room is arguably even messier. Oh well. Let me get the brayer out. By the way, if my stream just cuts out suddenly, um, it's because of the like crazy winds that we're having right now. Donley says, really appreciate the opportunity, Josh. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um, Cassandra says, wow, it's really going wild out there. Yeah, I can hear it from inside. Just it it sounds like those old cartoons when someone would be like standing outside the window making the fake uh storm sounds. That's what it sounds like right now. Like it's right outside the window, just whooshing by. So yeah. Donnelly says we had some strong winds today, too. Yeah. Well, isn't there like a hurricane somewhere, off the coast somewhere? This is when Thunderstruck gets yelled across the house over here. LOL. We a couple of years ago we actually had um lightning hit so close to the house. I thought it had hit the house because the house shook. The fire alarm actually went off. One of the smoke detectors went off. Um, the windows rattled and everyone like ran like crazy. All the cats ran like crazy. Heather says the storm is supposed to hit us tomorrow afternoon. Okay, yeah. So New Orleans. Hopefully, it's not too bad. Donnelly says that's scary. Yeah, it was crazy. It scared the hell out of all the cats. They went running. But I literally, it was so bad that I walked outside and like looked around the house to see where the damage was. Like I was sure it had hit the house because it literally felt like it had hit the house. Like everything shook so much, I was just, it was crazy. I can't imagine what it must feel like to actually get hit by lightning. Like you see those, the videos of the people that do, and I'm just like, I can't even imagine what that must feel like. Sandra says, I like that we did dog and cat emotes because that's what it's about to be raining outside. Cats and dogs. Nice. That's funny. Well, Heather, I really hope the storm isn't too bad for you all. Well, I guess for you and the city. This isn't exactly related, but I remember there was a big storm a couple of years, not a couple of years ago. It was like, I don't remember. It was on the East Coast. I don't remember. It was a big storm. I don't think it was Sandy, but whatever. Um, but we drove out to the Outer Banks in North Carolina after the storm. Like it was, I think, the same year of the storm, but it was months later, but it was still winter. And oh my God, the devastation was crazy to see like houses just you know, um, like just the roof of the house, no rest of the house on the beach. It's literally just like the roof of a house on the beach. I'm just like, okay then. Heather says, yeah, I'm sure I'll be okay. The kitty will be next to me to protect me, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure to protect you. Yeah, yeah. She's very protective. Nothing more protective than a cat get freaking out about something. Known for that. Uh, I love cats, but they are so dumb sometimes. Cassandra is really enjoying the emotes. Cassandra, I can make emotes for my channel. I just don't because like I just don't. But if you feel like making some for my channel and you're like, I want to have these emotes so I can use them, I mean, if you have your own channel, do it for your own channel. But if you don't, we can work something out. I'm listening. Yeah, I only have one emote on my channel. The only emote I have is um this one. But I should have the ability to make a few more. So the only thing is I don't know if you have to like I don't know if I can make them free to use or if I have to make them subscription, based. That's the only thing I'm not positive about. Um, I know they're usually like it's like a reward for subscribing. You get, emotes and stuff. Cassandra says, I mean, we need a Dresden emote. I agree. I just, it's hard to say, but emotes haven't been a priority. You know, it just hasn't. But I do agree with you. Cassandra says, I know some people have some free ones for followers, but I don't know what the requirements are. Yeah, I don't know what the requirements are either. Um, this is the thing about Twitch. So there's a few things with Twitch that happened. Like I said, for like a year, I couldn't log into my Twitch for no reason. I wasn't banned. I wasn't suspended. It was nothing like that. It just couldn't log in. Uh, no good reason. Finally was able to log back in. Um, so, I had that experience and then I had some other issues. They change, they keep updating their technology and stuff, which is good, but it also means updates to how you do things and so on. So, that constantly is changing, and I don't always have the patience to learn everything and research everything. So, you know, but yeah, but I do agree. And what's it called? A Dresden emote would be great. I have to look. I don't even know if you can make. Uh, I think you can make some. Wait, can you make specialized emotes on YouTube? I don't know. Oh, now it is raining outside? Wow. Cassandra says, I think you can for people who pay to sub. Maybe. Hey, no worries, Donley. No worries at all. Yeah, it's coming down for sure. Yeah, it really is. I was not expecting this weather. Yeah, I've been working in the garage all week trying to, work on the stuff I've been doing, and so I had the car outside, so I had to bring the car in case it hails because this is Texas and, you know, just the way it is sometimes. Ice rocks fall from the sky. Yeah, on sunny days where like nothing is happening, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, by the way, there's a storm, and now ice rocks. Enjoy. When we first moved to Texas, I remember driving somewhere. It was like it was raining a bit, and I was like, I'll be fine. I'm not afraid of driving in the rain. It was raining. It wasn't a big deal. And then all of a sudden, it 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 was like someone just was standing on top of the car, just pouring an endless like hose directly on my car. Like I was just like, okay, I can't see anything anymore. Just all of a sudden, that was a new experience for me, for sure. All right, Cassandra. So, for anyone who's interested, I'm lightening up some of the background a little because she has black hair and I want to be able to get the contrast in once I put the hair in. Lee says, I think I had hail today from the sharp hitting sounds outside my window, but it happened so fast I didn't see it. And it was immediately melting because it was pretty warm today. Oh man. Yeah, the thing that's, you know, the big deal with hail, of course, is the damage that it does, right? Both to the house and cars. We had uh, from the last like hailstorm that we had where we had left our cars out. We didn't. It was like an freak uh, hailstorm caught a ton of people by surprise. Um, we had damage to our cars from that. Um, so yeah, it sucks. I'm getting out my smaller brush right now. And I'm going to put out some more paint too, because I'm out of yellow. And pretty much out of white too. So gotta refresh my piles. The reason I don't always clean off the pile entirely, in case anyone's curious, is because this glass is vertical, and so having some old paint there gives it something to grab onto. Cassandra says, "I'm back. Oh my God, it smells like heaven outside." Really? Huh. Interesting. I assume it smells fresh and nice is the idea. Um, I mean, if you like rain and wet dirt, I don't know. I'm weird about some outdoor things. Like I have bad allergies, so a lot of things don't agree with me. So I've come to associate them with negatives. But maybe I don't have a great sense of smell, so it's not usually the what's it called? Um, the sense that I immediately like think of or associate things with sometimes, but not a lot because I have a really, really bad sense of smell. Used to be even worse because of my deviated septum. I won't go on about it then, lol. No, you're fine. You're fine. You can talk about the rain smell all you want. Just don't start saying positive things about the sun, okay? Because, yeah. Cassandra says, "Did you get your septum undeviated?" I did, actually. Yeah, I had surgery a couple of years ago. Um, and that was not a fun experience, but I'm glad I did it. I can breathe a lot better. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better. Cassandra says, "Screw that ball of murder plasma." I agree. I agree. I mean, yeah, life on Earth probably wouldn't be doable, but like, still, screw it. Says, "Gotta get some things done, but I'll be lurking in chat. Keep up the excellent arting." Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good luck with all the stuff you need to get done. I think it's funny how things often look really weird when you're like, if you have to make adjustments to a painting and you have to move something around, then like when you put the marks in to adjust it, everything looks all weird and wonky for a little bit until you correct the rest of it. I don't usually do a ton of measuring, like, actual measuring like that, but when I'm streaming, I should say, I usually rely on Photoshop a lot more. But I don't always feel like dealing with Photoshop. I was hoping to make this one a quicker painting and also not have to be so precise with everything. I know getting proportions and everything is important, but it's not always the most important. Some of my favorite artists out there do some really wonky proportions sometimes. And I'll tell you, I never mind. I've never looked at one of their paintings and been like, this would be such a good painting if only the proportions were more realistic. That is never something I've said about some of my favorite artists, even when things are like way off. So it is good to be good at proportions. It is good to be good at anatomy and all that stuff, but it's not the end all be all of everything. And it's important to remember that sometimes. I'm really bad at remembering that, but I try sometimes. And no, this isn't a cop with a harness on. I'm so used to painting people with long hair. He does not have long hair. I have painted men, of course, who don't have long hair, and women too, I'm sure. But last couple paintings I've done, yeah, everyone had long hair, I think. And yeah, in case anyone's curious, she's holding up some kind of flower or something. That's what's happening here. She's not so much as smelling it as trying to insert it into her forehead or eye socket, but whatever. She's enjoying it, I think. Just gotta move the hand over a little bit. I like the dress she's wearing, but I also like the boots she has on. I'm hoping I'll be able to make those clear enough. I just like the, what's it called? The juxtaposition of the like frilly dress that she has on, which I know you can't really see at all, but and like the combat boots or Doc Martens or whatever they are. We'll see. In the photo. She's standing on a bunch of flowers. We'll see how much of that detail I end up bringing in. I'm a little not into, not really into painting all of that, so we'll see. Fabric, when it has like a ton of little folds, it can be very, very challenging. And unless you need all the folds to be perfect for some reason, you know, then I try to go for kind of the spirit of the folds and not so much the literal interpretation of every single individual fold because I value my sanity. Some people love it. There's some artists that like, oh my God, there's this one artist. She does, all these paintings with like lace and stuff, and she gets real close on the lace so that she has to paint all of it on purpose. Like that's what she likes doing. No, 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 not me, but that's what you like. That's what you like. One of my favorite artists is MC Escher. I love him. I love his art. But wow, I would not have the patience to make art like that. Not in the slightest. Love him. Love his art. Nah, I cannot be bothered. No way. There's Cassandra says there's an artist I follow on Insta who only paints textiles and they are gorgeous. Yes, yep. Some people, it's interesting how how different everybody is and how, everyone likes different aspects of making art. I'm gonna give my camera a minute to cool down. Good time to stretch. Yeah, there's this artist who does this different type of thing, but a plein air artist I like. Actually, there's a few of them, but this one I'm thinking of in particular, he's really good, but oh my God, it's just the amount of detail that he puts into his paintings that apparently are all done on location. I'm just like, how do you have the time, man? I don't know how, like, I've done a portrait and, I mean, I did a 5 hour portrait before for, Portrait Artist of the Year paint along thing. But, yeah, like, I don't know the amount of detail that sometimes they put in or different things. Yeah. I don't know how they do it. I think some of her colors are off. While I give my camera a minute to calm down, let's take a photo. And I can stick it into Photoshop and see any major things I need to address. Now, let's see. So what I do, for anyone who isn't familiar with what I'm doing right now, and you can't see it because I don't have a way of showing it on screen, um, but I overlay my painting, the photo I just of my that I just took of my painting, and my reference image, and I just overlay them on top of each other so that I can see where things need to be adjusted. It's similar to what's it called? To using a projector or something like that. It, you know, similar, not the same, but it helps. It doesn't help you with. There's a lot of things that it doesn't help you with. Like it does not help you know. It doesn't help you with like transitions or colors um or anything like that. It mostly just helps you with placement of things, like hard edges where, is the hand out of place? Is the head too big, too small? Stuff like that. Which, is helpful, but also not the most important thing always. Huh. Alrighty. So a bunch of things were just slightly off, which is what I suspected. Alrighty. So in the past, I have addressed issues like this where I'm like trying to draw and fix things in numerous ways. Um, they've all got their advantages and disadvantages, and that's why it has changed over time for me. One of the things I used to do is use a scraper and just scrape the paint and like draw into the wet paint. That works really well. Um, it doesn't work as well on dark surfaces uh, with dark paint because you can't tell what's scraped and what's the background. And then the other thing is it leaves rivets and dips in the paint, and you kind of need to uh, paint over those before the paint's dry. Otherwise, you'll see those lines forever in your painting unless you sand them down or scrape them down. So that's not too good. Um, the other thing is to use a color of some sort to draw with. I used to use quinacridone for that. It's really good paint and my go-to for that because it's very bright. You can see it, but it mixes very well into most things. Um, it's transparent, so you can kind of see what's under it if you put it on gently and so on. But it also means that you have to take the time and actually, you know, get rid of it. Um, Now I'm trying a different technique where I kind of just use the colors that I have on location already and try and paint in so I'm saving time that way. And I have to take another break from painting because Dresden is here. Hi, little boy. Hi, Dresden. Ah, baby boy. Yeah. Oh, baby boy. Oh, hi. Mm, mm, your tongue is so scratchy. Mm, such a sweet boy. Yeah, yeah, he is. And for the record, I make sure to like tuck my lips in when he does that because I don't want to get him like I'm not one of those people who's like, it's okay, they can lick my lips. No, no, thank you. That is gross. Let me see if I can do something real quick here. We'll see. This might not work, but it might. Can you hear him purring? The microphone fell. I'm sorry. I was hoping you'd be able to hear him purr because I turned off the noise gate thing. But then the microphone fell. Yeah, some of the face clearly was very off, but also very small on my screen. So I always knew I'd be zooming in closer to really get the detail. That's the problem sometimes when using a wipeout tool with a black background. You can't even see what you've done because the background. Okay, Heather, have a good night. And good night to Z as well. Sometimes I take off paint just even though I could like paint over it or move the paint around and get the color I want. It's just so that there's less paint on the panel so that it's easier as I go move forward with it. Uh, Conley says, I'm third in line for Stormfront, the first in the Dresden Files. Oh, nice. How are you liking the book series so far? Conley says I should finally be able to listen to the audiobooks. Dude, the audiobooks are really good. They have James Marsters, who played Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Uh, he's the he's the reader for it, and he is really good. Conley says I'm listening to the first one first, so I guess we'll find out. Nice. Cassandra says the narration is so good. It is. It's a good series. I do think like I went back and listened to all like I started re-listening to the books when the new ones came out because I wanted to like listen to all of them. I ended up giving up at some point, but it was one of those things where it was like, the first ones aren't quite as good as I remember them. They're still good though, but they do. There is like a middle point where it's like the best. I don't know what book number that is, but at some point they definitely hit a stride that you're just like, okay. Cassandra says, I mean, he did write them out of spite. Uh, yeah, the last two books weren't my favorite either. I'll be honest. Out of the series, they weren't bad. Once again, it all falls into that category of these aren't bad, but in the series, they're not my favorite. But yeah, I didn't know the story that he wrote them out of spite, though. I don't think I knew about that. Sandra says 1 sec. Okay. He has a book series, The Spires, I think it is, or something like that. Um, And I just like one of the things they have some of the main one of the main characters and some of the characters in general are cats. And it's really interesting because it's like they're just cats that other people like people can talk to. Um, but you have to know their language. They don't know your, I mean, they understand, but they can't talk, to everybody. Um, and yeah, it's just it's pretty fun. But the whole series is interesting in other ways, but I like how he depicts just the cats. I think it's funny. Donley says, "Is Dresden Files an ongoing book series?" Yes, it is. I don't remember what number they're up to now. I don't know if they've gotten to 20 past 20 yet. Um, it's been ongoing for years, and he took quite a break at one point, like uh, you know, a very, very long break between um whatever the last two books were. The last two books came out at the same time. Um, and um, you know, between those two coming out and the previous book, it was a very long wait. Not quite George R. R. Martin, but quite a wait. Oh, I have a theory about George R. R. Martin, and I want to put this out there now, so if it happens, at least I can say I was right. I don't think he's ever putting out the last book of the Game of Thrones series. Um, I think it's finished. I think he wrote it and finished it, but he will not put it out until after he's dead. That's my theory. There's so much hype about it. There's so much, people want the last book for so long. I don't think he'll put it out. I could be wrong. In fact, I could be so wrong he already put it out and I just didn't hear about it. But I'm pretty sure he didn't. Um, Sandra says, so Jim was in a writing class and his professor told him he should follow a really formulaic structure for his books. He didn't want to, but he did anyways. And then the books was a bestseller. Ah, okay, that I did hear. That I remember hearing. But so I get what you mean out of spite. Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's funny how that happens. That happened to like the Beastie Boys as well. Their major success was like a um their first major success was uh them making fun of the people that like they didn't like, essentially, the type of music they didn't like, and that took off. Um, yeah. MGMT too, from what I understand. I don't know what that is. Or I do, but I'm bad at acronyms, so no idea what that is supposed to be. It's some band that wrote a garbage song on purpose and now it's their big hit and they are cursed to play it forever. Ah, Beastie Boys got out of it, luckily for them. But yeah, now it does happen. That's why, the one advice is to not get successful doing things you don't enjoy doing. There's an artist who got famous from doing certain social media stuff, and he got famous and rich from it. He won. Good for him, right? Um, but now he struggles to be taken seriously in a way, you know, um, or taken seriously in the way that he would like to be. And yeah, that is not, that's no fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think, it's one of those things where it's like, I think maybe that this person that I'm talking about, well, I'm not going to name because I don't remember their name. Um, uh, I don't think that like they have the right perspective about it because like, yeah, you know, if you're doing financially well from this and, things are great in that sense, yeah, I understand you want to be taken seriously as an artist, but like give it time. As long as you work towards it, you'll get there. Your finances and how serious you are might not match, but as long as you know, keep the high one high and raise the other one, you're all good. And if you work at something long enough, I mean, Bob Ross isn't you know, like a lot of artists don't think, you know, that highly of Bob Ross's art in a lot of ways because it's not, it's very fast. It's very like it uses like techniques and shorthands to like fake things. And there's a bunch of stuff. But people love Bob Ross. I love Bob Ross. And like people pay or would pay a lot of money for his paintings now. So if you do it long enough, someone you'll be taken seriously. Just give it time. But yeah, uh, I think it would still suck. I still think they're doing well, but I understand where they're coming from. All right, I think face, I mean, her face needs a lot of work, but I think this structure of it needs a little more work. I want to get it to a slightly better spot. One of the problems when we're working wet into wet is that you're painting into wet paint. So obviously things kind of mush around and colors can contaminate each other. The great thing is you can also wipe it off. So if that's a problem, you can often eh, just wipe the part that's a problem off, and problem solved. No, people like acrylics because they dry faster and the wet into wet, like you don't have to worry about that. But honestly, the wet into wet part is actually such an advantage, like 99% of the time, that that little bit of annoyance when you have to like wipe something off or something is so minor. Not to mention that half the time that's an advantage too, because like something's not working, you can just wipe it off. You don't even have to worry about covering it. Just wipe it off, it's gone. Cassandra says no arguments here. Yeah, well, you use open acrylics so that you get the advantages of oil paints. But yeah, I know people think it's a huge like disadvantage that they dry so that oils dry so slow. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it is a disadvantage, but oof, most of the time it is not, uh, not at all. I honestly wish I could make my paints dry slower most of the time because most of the time what happens is my painting, I don't have enough time to work on something and I have to, put it aside for a day and come back to it and then it dries. And it's like, I really wish it wouldn't most of the time. Sometimes I need it to dry, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there are techniques and stuff where you need it to dry, but most of the time, I would rather it just stay wet and I'll come back to it and paint right back into it. And I know you know that, Cassandra. I'm just talking in general. It's just one of those things I've heard before. People think like, "Ah, it's such a problem that it dries so slow." And it's like, no, not really. Unless you're doing like architectural stuff where you're trying to do like really, really, really straight lines. That stuff is, yeah. If you want to put a ruler down or tape down to make it straight, yeah, you can't really do that. Sandra says, I feel like every kind of paint has its pros and cons, and it's all about what pros and cons work for you personally. Oh, for sure. Um, for sure. I do think that some have more cons than pros and vice versa. Like some paints are just easier most of the time with most things, and some paints are harder. But you are absolutely right. And, there's also the interesting thing where sometimes people will like go completely counter to the pros and cons of said medium, you know, anyways. And it's like you're making your life really, really hard, but you go do you, I guess. Like, whatever. Cassandra says, I'm convinced watercolor folks are bananas. That's funny. I used to be more of a watercolor. I used to be way more um, like inclined to paint with watercolors than anything else because I had painted with it. That's what I started with. Um, but now, not at all. Now I don't like it. But not for the reason you probably think, which is the funny thing. Um, the thing I hate about watercolors now is the color mixing and the palette. Has nothing to do with the painting itself. It's the palette. That's what I hate about watercolors. Um, yeah, because when you mix watercolors, you can't really tell what the color you just mixed is until you put it on paper to see what it looks like. Um, so you have to have like a ton of scrap paper and mix and test and mix and test and mix and test. I'm just like, I hate that. French fries, let's see. French fries says watercolor seems to have the most juvenile reputation, but it seems to be the hardest of mediums, in my opinion. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it is one of the hardest, absolutely. But yeah, a lot of kids use it too. It it's it's very low, like it's very easy to use, right? Like there's the paint and water, and that's it, right? Like it's very easy to use. So I get why kids use it. Or kids also use a lot of gouache, which also makes sense to me. But yeah, really good watercolors is very difficult. Sandra says, I love the way they can look. I truly do. Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is I remember, so two things I remember about watercolors. Like, I mean, there's artists out there that are amazing with watercolors, but the paintings look like watercolors, which is a good thing, right? You lean into the look of watercolors and it's gorgeous. However, I remember coming across one artist that made they made their paintings just look amazing, but they looked like they were acrylic or it looked like acrylic or it looked like oils or something, but completely flat. No impasto, no brush marks, nothing like that. But so digital, something like that. I came across it in a book and I was looking at it. I'm like, what is this? Like, it was like a fantasy scene. It was so gorgeous and it was really tight. I couldn't see any watercolor look to it at all. And I couldn't tell what it was. And then I found the little, blurb on it because it was full page. So the blurb was on another page. And I don't remember the artist, but it was watercolor. And I was just like, why would you ever do this to yourself? Like the amount of control that this person had to do this fantasy painting with no watercolor effect, but to paint it all with watercolor was just bonkers to me. But people do stuff like that all the time. They pick a medium and then they lean into the hard parts about it or the disadvantages of it. And you're just like, why would you make your life so much harder? I don't understand. French Fry says, I love the way James Gurney uses gouache. It looks like oil, but it's not. Just amazing how he does that. Absolutely. James Gurney is amazing. I just wish he would stop promoting casein. But otherwise, his stuff's amazing. All right, folks. It is late. I gotta get going. I gotta take a break a bit, and yeah. Probably should eat something. Anyways, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. Yeah, sorry I haven't been coming out with videos. That will be, I'm going to try and get out at least one video before my trip, and then I'll be gone for a bit, and then, hopefully come back with a lot of videos and a lot more content and stuff. But yeah. Anyways, thank you all. Have a good night. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I have prints now in my shop if you are in America. Yeah, that's it. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.